Welcome back. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel that talks about the CBAP certification and the overall BABOK knowledge that you need to understand and you should know before going for the CBAP certification exam. And today we'll continue with the different the task and the knowledge areas that you have to focus on. Prior to that, in our last video, we have discussed about the core concept model, where we have talked about the six core areas that you have to understand. To just revise that portion, let's talk about here the core concept model. So we have talked about the need, the stakeholders, the context, change, solution, and the value. For an example, if there is a need, assume this the stakeholders or the people who stay in this apartment want a swimming pool, right? So that's a need that they want a swimming pool, and then the stakeholders of this building sit with the vendor and they talk about that they want a swimming pool. Then the vendor um, see the context, like under which what are the constraints under which what they have to consider before providing a solution. So this stakeholder sees like, okay, there's no free space to build a swimming pool outside. So the only resource or area that where he has to construct that is this apartment, and he has a very less time, and the apartment owners or the people who stay here is not willing to pay too much money. So there are a few constraints that he has to consider before providing a solution. So after looking all those constraints and the context, he suggested a solution, and the solution is he will construct a swimming pool on top of the building, on top of this building, like this, right? So in order to build this, uh, that can be done, but what changes need to be considered before the people of this building, residents of this building, start using the swimming pool here. So the changes that they need to consider is that the residents of this building should know or should learn how to swim, right? And the change is like the traditional way of taking a bath, like the bathtub, that need to be replaced by this. So now the people going to start taking a bath in the swimming pool. So they have to, learn how to swim. Then the maintenance of the swimming pool need to done. The change of water need to done, and the cold and the hot water need to be maintained based on the climate. And then there is some value associated with this, so people will be happy. So this is value and the satisfaction level. So this was the core concept model. Today this video is going to be a little bit long, so be with me. uh, let's go to the next slide. So now we'll talk, because these core concept, when we are talking about the core concept model, all those six principles will be used across all the knowledge areas. And now we'll talk about the knowledge areas. So what are the knowledge areas? So knowledge areas is a kind of just like you understand, there is a product that you get a mobile, and with that mobile you get a small user manual, and that user manual instructs you or guides, step by step guides you, like how you can operate, how you can work with this. That's another similar example is like there is a table with different legs, a different top, and then you get a user manual to assemble those different components of a table together. So that's book is basically talk about how you can do that work. So similarly, BABOK comprises of the knowledge areas. So there are 6 knowledge areas that you have to focus on and you have to learn. You should know about those in order to pass the CBAP certification. And there is no specific order that you have to go through those knowledge areas. You can go in any sequence, like you can go through the elicitation collaboration prior going through the business analysis, planning and monitoring, or you can talk about the solution evaluation. Why I'm talking this thing like there is no specific sequence is when in a real world, when we talk about any solution, so there are a lot many things that was happening parallelly. So it could be possible that one, for an example, the solution exists there and there is some change that is required. So you have to, somewhere out of those 6 knowledge areas, you would be referring to any one of them at one time or parallelly. So there is no specific sequence. And these 6 knowledge areas that you have to learn, at least you should know the 50% of every knowledge area, because when we talk about the exam, and people, there is like a misconception like that everything's comes from the book and comes from those knowledge areas. Yes, it comes, but it's very difficult for you to learn uh, each and every line of that book. The good thing is you should understand those core concepts. You should understand those knowledge areas. And then there are like different things that you need to learn. I would say like the 50% you have to memorize and 50% is your understanding. So what you need to learn, I'll talk about it in upcoming slides. So first, just focus on these are the 6 knowledge areas: uh, business analysis, planning and monitoring, elicitation and collaboration, requirement lifecycle management, strategy analysis, requirement analysis and design definition, and the solution evaluation. So let's go through one by one. Before that, from the examination point of view, you can see that the contribution distribution of the questions per knowledge area, that the BAPM, in upcoming slides I would be using the acronyms like BAPM, EC, RLCM. So you have to understand those, because I would not taking the full name like business analysis, planning and monitoring, right? So BAPM, the number of questions that comes from this knowledge area is 17, and the overall distribution of percentage is 19.35%. That's very important. Elicitation and collaboration, that is EC. The 14 questions comes from this knowledge area, that comprises of the 14%. Then requirement lifecycle management, that's 18 questions. Strategy analysis, 18. Requirement analysis and design definition, that is 36 questions, which comprises of the 19.33%, almost 20 you can say. Solution evaluation, 17 questions and comprises of the 16%. So the knowledge area that you need to focus more on is this requirement analysis and design definition. But at the same time, you have to secure the, and how does the results comes, like I would show you that one, how does this results come, but in later slides, that when you go for exam you either fail or pass, so they give you a result that on in which knowledge area you scored higher or lower. So you have to balance that, like if in 4 knowledge area you have achieved higher, then in the 2 knowledge area you can if you have a lower, then also you will be passed. So you have to make a balance, but you cannot you should not uh, take the lower numbers in more than two knowledge areas, otherwise that you will get failed, right? So the balance that you have to maintain, and you can clearly see on this pie chart here that how much percentages of questions is comprises of RADD knowledge area. Okay, then the business analysis, planning and monitoring, BAPM. What does this knowledge area talks about? Before that, there are like the 5 different tasks that you perform under this knowledge area, and the 4 tasks are basically the planning, and the 5th task is the monitoring. So this plan business analysis approach, stakeholder engagement, business analysis governance, business analysis information management. These are the planning for the 4 different tasks, and the final task in this knowledge area is to monitor the performance of the BA analyst, right? So how that business analyst is performing or planning or doing the activities across the BABOK. It's not only to these knowledge areas, but across the BABOK, across all the knowledge areas, how the business analyst is performing those tasks is driven by this last task here. So what's business analysis, planning and monitoring? The business analysis, planning and monitoring knowledge area task organize and coordinate the efforts of business analysts and the stakeholders. These tasks produce outputs that are used as key guidelines for the other tasks throughout the BABOK guide. So here there are like, as you can see in this snapshot, that there are 2 inputs goes to these tasks, and then 5 outputs comes out of these 5 tasks. So separately or individually, we'll talk about these tasks in our upcoming slides. So on high level, you have to understand like that 2 inputs goes needs and the performance objective, and these tasks then based on this input gives output. These 5 outputs it gives, and these 5 outputs goes to the another task as an input. So the output of one task is an input to the other task. That's a sequence that is being maintained there. So we'll talk about those sequences and the order in our upcoming slides. For the time being, you have to understand the knowledge areas. What does these knowledge areas talk about? So let's move to the second knowledge area. Then we have elicitation and collaboration, that is EC. Elicitation and collaboration knowledge area describes the task that business analysts perform to obtain information from stakeholders and confirm the results. It also describes the communication with the stakeholders once the business analysis information is assembled. This is never a phase in BA, rather it's ongoing as long as business analysis work is occurring. The very important thing I would tell you, like if there is nobody know about the need, then also elicitation and collaboration is done in order to identify a need. Just an example, that there is an apartment, there is like annual budget is assigned to the maintenance of that building and to develop something new. So the budget is there, but nobody know what they can do with this budget to do something new. So elicitation and collaboration is done to identify a need as well. So that's very important. You have to understand, like one question could come out of this thing that I just talked about. Elicitation, there is not necessary that the need is there and then you are doing the elicitation and collaboration to find the solution, story grooming, you know. In order to identify need as well, elicitation and collaboration is being done. So there are 5 tasks comes under this EC. Prepare for elicitation, then conduct elicitation, confirm elicitation result, communicate business analysis information, manage stakeholder collaboration. There are 4 inputs that goes into these tasks. needs, business analysis information, stakeholder engagement approach, business analysis performance assessment, and then the outputs. There are 5 outputs that comes out of this task. We'll talk about each one of them separately when we'll go through those knowledge areas in detail in our upcoming slides. Let's talk about the third knowledge area, which is requirement lifecycle management. Acronym is RLM. Somebody says RLM, someone says RLCM. So it's upon you, which is whatever comfortable for you. Requirement lifecycle management knowledge area describes the task that business analysts perform in order to manage and maintain requirements and design information from inception to the retirement. Um, there is something like the needs, the requirement that comes in. If you ever worked on the defect, any defect, so you know the defect life cycle, like you raises a defect, the defect goes for a fix, then you check that if that is fixed or not. If that reoccurs, then you reopen the defect, and once that's fixed, then you check and make it close. So that's a life cycle. In a similar way, our requirements do have a life cycle that comes in, that you analyze that one, then for a longer, if that requirement is for a longer period of time, and that requirement is a reusable requirement, then you generally maintain that requirement. And then when that requirement is finally done, and when you identify or realize like there is no need for this requirement anymore, then you retire that requirement. So there is a life cycle for each and every requirement that comes during the solution building or solution creation. These tasks describe establishing meaningful relationship between related requirements and the design. So when we talk about the requirement, it could be like a one requirement we are talking about, but when we build a solution, that comprises of a set of requirements together. A listing of those requirements comes together to build a complete solution. For an example, if you people know about the agile approach of a development, and then the requirements that you generally creates a Jira stories for that, and these Jira stories is combined and mapped to a release, like which release all those requirements is going in. So in similar way, the requirement lifecycle is like it's the solution that is built around is not for a one requirement, rather the set of requirements is being listed, and that is mapped to a release or components. Then the management of requirements does not end once a solution is implemented. Throughout the life of a solution, requirements continue to provide value when they are managed appropriately. Let's talk about the next knowledge area, that is strategy analysis. Strategy analysis knowledge area describes the business analysis work that must be performed to collaborate with stakeholders in order to identify a need of strategic or a tactical importance. Uh, First of all, you should know the strategic or a tactical. So strategical need is something that's a long term. If I can give you an analogy, like a big strategic is a vision of the organization, right? Or like right now the organization is 2 million, getting a 2 million turnover. Now the vision of an organization to get to make it to like 200 billion turnover. So that's a big vision, and that's strategic. In order to achieve this big vision, they create their own missions, the small missions, like small roadmaps or small quarterly, yearly plans to achieve that vision, right? So strategical is a long term, which is also known as a vision of the organization. Tactical importance, tactical is something like a mission that the big vision is being divided into the small steps to take, and to to go to that the targets that has been set as a strategic. Um, Sale then focuses this knowledge area focuses on defining the future and the transition states needed to address the business need. As you remember, like in my very first slide, when I talk about the change, like when you're going from the traditional bathtub to the swimming pool, then you have to, there is a transition. And in order to use that new solution that as a swimming pool, you should know how to swim. You have to maintain the water. You have to do the cleanup. You have to take care of the hot and the cold and the climate aspect also need to be considered. So these are the changes, right, that you have to talk about. So similarly, defining the future and the transition states need to be addressed the business need. This knowledge area is an ongoing activity that assesses any changes in that need in its context or any new information that may indicate that an adjustment to the change strategy may be required. Then we have 4 tasks in this knowledge area: analyze the current state, define the future state, assess risk, define change strategy. And we have around 7 inputs and 8 outputs out of that comes out of this knowledge area. We'll talk about in our upcoming slides or upcoming videos, I would say. Then we have requirement analysis and design definition. This is a very big area. It comprises of the six major tasks, and you have to give a the focus or critical importance to this knowledge area. This knowledge area describes the task that business analysts perform to structure and organize requirements discovered during elicitation activities, specify and model requirements and designs, validate and verify information, identify solution options that meet business needs, and estimate the potential value that could be realized for each solution option. This knowledge area covers the incremental and iterative activities ranging from the initial concept and exploration of the need through the transformation of those needs into a particular recommended solution. Um, this on a high note, I would say like what this knowledge area talks about is you get a requirement, you do the elicitation and collaboration with the stakeholders, then you detailed out that requirement that is easy to understand to this stakeholders, that you can share that information to other stakeholders. um, and just an example, that you get a requirement to create a car example, right? So you listed all the components required in that car, and then you create a tabular or a matrix structure that the engine power is this, then the tank uh, the engine power is this, the oil is this, the electric is this, the gear structure is this, the color is this, the tires and the axle and different components of that car is being described in that list in a tabular structure, so that if when somebody wants to understand the overall skeleton of that car, the components, the in terms of stats, in terms of power, in terms of numbers, that they can easily go through those numbers and say, oh, now they understand it. So it's easy to understand that when you share that information to other stakeholders, they can understand it easily. So in this knowledge area, you try to create that definition, or you describe, and at the same time you create a kind of a model uh, that helps the stakeholder to understand these the components or different components of that requirement easily. So this is very big knowledge area. We'll talk about it in detail in upcoming videos. This knowledge area covers the incremental and iterative activities ranging from the initial concept and exploration of the need through the transformation of those needs into a particular recommended solution. So as I said, like 6 inputs, 6 tasks, and the 6 outputs out of this knowledge area. Then we have solution evaluation. Uh, when the solution is being developed, the solution is being implemented, or if there is any existing solution, then this knowledge area talks about that solution. So what are the points that is being considered in this knowledge area? Uh, Describes the task that business analysts perform to assess the performance and value delivered by a solution in use by the enterprise and to recommend removal of barriers or constraints. It may only be a partial solution, but the solution or solution component has already been implemented and is operating in some forms that prevent the full realization of the value. Solution evaluation generally focuses on components of enterprise rather than the entire enterprises. So there are two things that I can tell you, like uh, either there is a problem with the solution or there is a problem with an organization or enterprise. So this knowledge area try to identify the problem areas and then provide a solution or provide a fix to maximize that value that is being blocked by the barriers. So either that is internal to the solution, that you have created a solution, there is a problem within that solution only, or there is a problem outside of the solution. And when I talk about the outside of the solution, it could be an enterprise, it could be an organization. There are five different tasks that you perform. The measure solution performance, analyze performance measures, assess solution limitation, assess enterprise limitation, recommend action to increase solution value. There are four inputs given to this: implemented solution, current state description, business objectives, potential value. And there are five outputs that comes out, that is solution performance measure, solution performance analysis, solution limitation, enterprise limitation, and recommended action. So this is it. That These knowledge areas you have to go through, and I would say, like, go through different content on the internet. If you know someone who has the BABOK, you can take help of that, and you can read all those in detail before going to understand each and every task in detail. um, Other than that, I would keep posting the videos, but due to different, uh, I'm also working as a professional business analyst in some different organizations and the projects. So I get a very less time to create those videos and upload for you. But in between, whenever I'll get time, I'll try to create the PPTs and try to upload the videos here. In the meanwhile, feel free to ask any question in the comments below. You can just leave your questions, and I would happy to answer your questions over there. In detail, like how you can sit for an exam, how you can improve your percentile in clearing through that exam, what steps you need to take care of before you sit for that exam, and how should you prepare, what things you have to take care that increase the probability of passing that exam. I'll talk about all those things in our upcoming videos, but since this is a beginning of a BABOK and the knowledge areas and the task, so I'll wait for your questions and queries in between, and I'll happy to answer those. And I'll see you in our upcoming videos. Till then, take care and goodbye.